Welcome to the Department of Kinesiology and Applied Health. This is our orientation session for first and second year students. I'm Dr. Melanie Gregg. I'm the current chair of the Department of Kinesiology and Applied Health, and this is Julie Ward, who's our department assistant. So our contact information is on here. You can also find it on our website. So Julie and I are often going to be the people who you might need some information from if you need forms filled out, permission, etc., then you might be contacting one of us at some point along the way. So it's good to sort of be familiar with us, even if we're not able to meet you in person right now. So our faculty members are listed here on the left-hand side. So these are our permanent full-time faculty members. You'll have some of them as your instructors this year, others you might have later on in your degree. Some of them you might actually never have the opportunity to learn from, but most of them you will. On the right-hand side is our contract faculty, and these are individuals who work out in the community in areas related to kinesiology, and they come in and teach one or maybe a few more classes for us that to share their expertise with you, and they're a really valuable part of our department. So we have 3 degree programs. So if you started before 2019, or sorry, before 2020, so if you started last year in 2019, then some of these will look a little bit different for you, okay? But you are able to follow whatever degree you started. So in whatever year you started in, you can finish that degree, okay? So keep that in mind, so don't panic. So we have the 3-year Bachelor of Physical and Health Education degree, and there's a few options for this degree. So a lot of people just come in and they do their 3-year degree and they're done. Other people do the integrated Bachelor of Physical and Health Education and Bachelor Education degree. So you would already have to be in that program. So you'd apply for that in high school, and then you would have started it already this fall if you were in that program. So you do both degrees concurrently. So it takes 5 years to do that. The other option, if you want to be a phys ed teacher, is that you can do your 3-year Bachelor of Physical and Health Education and then apply to education for the after degree program and complete a 2-year education degree. So it gets you the same thing. You get both degrees at the end of 5 years, same amount of time. The difference is that in the integrated program, you get into the schools earlier. So you get into the schools in your first year. Rather than having to wait until you're in education, maybe in your 4th year. Okay. We also have the 4-year Bachelor of Kinesiology, and this degree takes a broad-based approach to kinesiology, ensuring that you have a good foundation within the discipline. So previously we had the BKin General, the BKin Sport Coaching, and the BSc Exercise Science. So what we've done is taken components from each of those degrees to create the BKin. So if you started the BKin Sport Coaching, for example, last year, you can finish that degree, okay? We're just not offering it going forward. So in other words, any new students coming in who started this year won't have that as an option. If you started the BKin Sport Coaching last year, you're able to finish it. If you want to switch into the BKin, the new version that we have started this year, then you can do that by filling out a new declaration of major form. Okay, so it's really important that you always follow the calendar year that you did your declaration of major for, okay? We also have the 4-year Bachelor of Science Athletic Therapy, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few slides. Okay, so you do have a responsibility to understand your degree requirements, so you should look at the academic calendar. This is what we follow, and you need to meet the requirements in the academic calendar. The academic planner is helpful for planning your schedule for each term or each year, but you can't rely on that as being accurate all the time. So you do need to cross-reference that with the academic calendar. Sometimes there's things that are maybe exceptions to you as an individual student or certain circumstances, and that won't always be reflected in the planner, and the planner isn't always as up to date as the calendar. So the calendar is what we have to follow, okay? So make sure that you are familiar with that, and it is on the university website, so you should be taking a look at that. Make sure you review the regulations and policy section. That's important. It is up to you to know and understand those rules. Okay. You also need to know um, or make sure that you're meeting humanities requirements and the Indigenous course requirements. So these are requirements for completing your degree. It's not optional, you have to take them, okay? So there are specific courses that meet these. You also have to meet the science requirement, but in kinesiology, because a lot of our courses count as science requirements, because you have to take things like biology, um, it isn't normally an issue. Most students easily meet that requirement, okay? So I do recommend that you get in touch with an academic advisor every year or so to make sure that you are on track to complete your degree requirements and to graduate so that you're not at the last minute going, oh no, I didn't take a required course. I have one required course left. Because guess what? Then you're going to have to come back to take that one required course. So do make sure you are staying up to date and checking in with an academic advisor once in a while. Okay, the general degree requirements, these are also found in the academic calendar. So this you can find underneath kinesiology and applied health as far as your degree requirements. But just one thing I wanted to highlight here for you is that you are only allowed to take a maximum number of 1,000 level courses. So a 1,000 level course is an introductory level course, okay? So this is for really people who it's their first time at university or you don't have a background in that particular area, okay? So essentially the university doesn't want you completing your whole degree with 1,000 level courses, okay? So you need to take courses at different levels. So in theory, a 4,000 level course is much more challenging and builds on some of that knowledge you have from your 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 level courses before you get to that 4,000 level. So the expectations for your work is higher and the workload is typically heavier, okay? So if you're a first year student and you're in a third or 3,000 or 4,000 level course, you might want to rethink that and you should probably only be taking 1,000 or 2,000 level courses this year, and then next year you can look at maybe taking a 3,000 level course and so on. Okay, there are minimum maximum number of kin credit hours that you can complete. I'm not going to kind of go through these because it again depends on if you started last year or this year because the requirements changed a little bit for some of the degrees. Not the athletic therapy one, but the BKIN is the same. The BPHE is the same as last year, but if you started the year before that, that's changed. We've just recently gone through a curriculum review and made some changes to the program, so that's why that's happening. The point here really is that you can't only take kinesiology courses in order to fulfill your degree requirements. So the University of Winnipeg does take a liberal arts approach, so you do need courses in at least 5 different departments. So again, even your required courses count. So if you're taking things from kinesiology automatically as a kin major, you're taking something from biology, right, already because you have the biology 1112 is required. So that's already 2. You need an Indigenous course requirement, which would have to be coming from a different faculty. Humanities, okay, so then you might take some electives like intro psychology, for example, and that would be another department. So it's not all that difficult to get those 5 different areas, but you do need to make sure you are getting them. And you can't take all kinesiology credits. So if you're doing a 4-year degree, you need 120 credit hours completed. You can't do all of them in kin. You can do a minimum of half, and you can do more than that even in kinesiology, but you do need to be taking courses from other departments. Okay. So a 3-year Bachelor of Physical and Health Education, most people who take this degree are interested in being phys ed teachers, okay? And that's at any level of schooling, but not everybody. So some typical kind of career choices that people end up doing are things like working in recreation programs, working for maybe the City of Winnipeg Recreation Services, or doing things like working for Fit Kids, Healthy Kids, or Sport Manitoba. Our 4-year Bachelor of Kinesiology, as I mentioned, is really our broadest degree base. So this really sets you up for a huge range of areas of kinesiology that you might work in. And part of that's going to be a little bit dictated by what you take as electives within the kin department and what sort of piques your interest in those areas. So I'm not going to go through these, but there's a huge range of fields that you might find yourself in after your degree. Okay, so that takes us to our 4-year Bachelor of Science Athletic Therapy. So as I mentioned, we did have a Bachelor of Science Exercise Science, and if you started that program last year, then you are fully able to finish that degree. It's just any students who started now or going forward, that degree isn't an option for you, okay? So if you're interested in pursuing athletic therapy, we really encourage, if you're kind of thinking, oh, I want to go into physio, you don't need an athletic therapy degree. Okay, you're better off doing the Bachelor of Kinesiology. Um, so we really are trying to keep this degree for students who do see themselves eventually working as an athletic therapist. And the reason for that is really related to our practicum placement. So we just don't have enough space in our practicums to let everybody do the athletic therapy degree. So do be aware of that if you're really have no interest in being an athletic therapist, then it's probably not the place you should be, and you should look at pursuing other degrees. Okay. So this program has changed in the last couple of years as well. So you can no longer enter it, as you know, directly from high school. So you have to complete 60 credit hours of prescribed courses in the BKIN first. And those are all listed on our website, the department website. So you can take a look at those to make sure you're taking the right courses. Basically, if you're following the new BKIN, then you are with the exception of 2 courses, you're already on the pathway. So we did try to line those up for students so that you can easily transition from the BKIN into the athletic therapy program. So there's a couple of electives there that you need to take, and those should be pretty clear to you in the information. You need to have a GPA of 3.0 or higher, so that's the minimum. So just because you have a 3.0 doesn't mean you're going to be accepted. So to be competitive, more competitive to being accepted, obviously the higher GPA you have, the better. There's a few other things you need to include in your application, and if you're thinking of applying for next year, those are due by April 1st, okay? And that would be for the September 2021 admission. Okay, so we also have now a kinesiology honors degree. So this is a new program that this year is our first intake for the honors program. So it's pretty exciting. So you have to be registered in a 4-year BKIN major degree. So this could be the 4-year BKIN, the new one. It could be the general degree. It could be the former sport coaching or the former BSc exercise science. Okay, but what you would end up with is a 4-year BKIN with honors. Um, Unfortunately, athletic therapy, you just don't have enough room in your program in order to do the honors courses. And also the Bachelor of Physical and Health Education, because it's only a 3-year degree, you're not eligible to do the honors degree. So to apply for the honors degree, you need a minimum 3.0 GPA in your kinesiology and applied health courses, and you need to take a certain minimum number of higher level courses, including 3 honors courses, okay? And there's more information about those on our website, so you can take a look at that as well. This will be more relevant a little bit down the road. Some students who are in their 2nd year might be, it's probably more relevant for you, so you might consider this sort of in the winter term or spring term, looking more into the honors program for next year. Okay, so even though we're not in person, I really do recommend that you get familiar with the library resources. So this can be very helpful to you. I don't know how you would actually write a paper or do a project for any of your classes if you didn't reach out to the library. So you can go on the library website to use their resources and things like database searches and things like that. If you need any help with anything related to the library, the person to contact is Dee Wallace. So she is assigned to our area, kinesiology, and she can be a really big help, particularly as you try to collect resources and evidence for any papers or projects that you're working on. student resources, there's a lot of them. So this information is all on the website as well. Um, if you don't know where to direct your question to, Student Central is probably the best option. So direct it to Student Central and they can then help you or advise you as to where you can go. So how can you excel in this department? So I'm sure those of you who are in your first year, this is not what you would have kind of anticipated being um, your start to university, but I think you can still have a really positive experience and do well. Hopefully, you know, in the winter term, we can start to see more of you in person. Certainly by next fall, I hope that things are kind of back live and in person as much as possible. So do make sure you're taking your courses in order. They do build on each other and they are, it is helpful if you can do them in order as much as possible. We do have sort of some degree planner sheets that are on our website. So you can take a look at those too. And those can help you because they're broken up into sort of year 1, year 2, year 3, etc. So those can really help you in your planning. Okay. And again, watch that number of 1,000 level courses. You don't want to take too many because then you do have to offset it with some higher level courses to balance out your degree. Do get to know your instructors and professors. I know that it's a little bit trickier when we're doing most things online, but we are here to help you learn. So do reach out and ask questions, ask for clarification, ask, you know, for extra resources and things like that. We can be really helpful to you. You know, this is our job. We are here to help you learn. Do make sure that you're communicating like a professional, though. You know, if you're sending an email on a Friday night at 11 o'clock, you're probably not going to get a response until Monday or Tuesday, right? So you do have to be respectful of things like work hours. So even though our email, you can send it anytime, it's not really fair to expect your professors to work all the time, right? If you have an exam the next morning and you send an email at 2 in the morning, again, you're probably not going to get response back. And if your exam's at 8:30 in the morning, you're probably not getting a response before then. So it is your responsibility to be organized and to manage your own time as well. So just make sure you're using kind of professionally addressing your instructors and professors as well. If you're messaging myself or Julie, it's super helpful if you can include your first and last name and your student number. Then we're better able to help you because we can figure out what's going on with you and who you are a whole lot faster. Even with your professors, make sure you're letting them know which class you're asking them about because they teach, most people teach more than one class at a time. So it's not just you and your, you know, other students in your class that they're dealing with. They might be dealing with hundreds of students. So the more information you can give them about who you are and what the concern is, the better. So I do encourage you to get involved. I know it's a little bit trickier this year, but normally we encourage our students to go to things like Westman games and social events and speakers and to share your experiences as much as possible. So this year is a little different, although we do have some opportunities to get involved in an online manner, and I'll talk about those shortly as well. So we have some employment opportunities, and these will be posted on our department website when they're department related. So things like lab demos, for example, when you're in your third or fourth year, you might be able to get hired as a marker for a course. Sometimes we need research assistants. Um, Sometimes we need help at certain events. So there are some opportunities, work study opportunities as well. So do take a look on our department website. You can also reach out to career services when you're kind of a little further down the road and looking to get more of a career related job opportunity. You can reach out to career services. Okay, so an annual event that we have is our Connect Research Week. So normally this is in person, but this year, of course, we're doing it online. And so this is just a week that we take to sort of highlight kinesiology research. So it has a few purposes. One purpose is to expose our faculty and students and the broader community to speakers and researchers from other areas outside of the University of Winnipeg. and also to highlight some of the research we have going on in the faculty. So this is presented most often by faculty members, but we also sometimes have some students present research as well. So we're still finalizing the details for our international keynote speaker, but we'll get that information out to you soon. And then we have a national keynote speaker. This year it's Dr. Bettina Callery from Cape Breton University, and she's going to talk about her research on sport coaching. And then we'll have our sort of faculty and student short presentation. So you can understand what is it that my professor does when they're not teaching me, right? And so they can share some of their research. This is going to be held November 2nd, 4th, and 6th. And again, we'll send out more details like the time and the format a little bit later on. Our Kinesiology and Athletic Therapy Student Association, or CATSA, is definitely a group that you should become familiar with. So they do a range of things, including things like they have department clothing sales. So if you want anything that says U of W Kinesiology Student Association, this is definitely the way to get that kind of thing. So things that are specific to our department. They are organizing some virtual events. They have some scholarships. They'll promote job and volunteer opportunities. They organize the graduation dinner and dance and host that event every year. They're really focused on student networking, and they also send out a newsletter through their email that provides information to students and things related to kinesiology. So you can follow them on Instagram. So their Instagram handle is U of W CATSA. And I really recommend that you join their email list. So even for us, if we have particular events that are happening or we get job and volunteer opportunities, we will send it to CATSA and then they'll send it through their newsletter. Okay, so their email address is uofwcatsa@gmail.com. So here's just a picture of this year's CATSA executive. So the executive changes every year. So also if you would like to learn more about them and potentially get involved in the future, they would love that. So you can definitely reach out to them, and we're going to have one of the CATSA members during our live question and answer period today as well. So they can, they'll speak to you a little bit and then you can ask them questions too. Our Kin Department social media handles, we have an Instagram account and Twitter, so you can follow us on there. If you don't use either of those, then you might want to check up on our website every once in a while just to make sure you're not missing any important information. Our frequently asked question page on the department website is a really helpful resource. So on there you can find information about the honors program, the athletic therapy program, and answers to general questions as well. So do take a look at that when you have a question, because maybe the answer is already there. If you can't find your answer there, then you might want to contact Julie, our department assistant, or myself, depending on what the question is. Usually best to start with Julie and then come to me if she's not able to answer it, but usually she knows more of what's going on than I do, so she's a really great resource, okay? And we're also going to have our live question and answer period right away, so then if there's things from the presentation you want clarification on or specific questions you had about kinesiology and applied health, then I'm happy to answer them.